Good evening and welcome to Akron Public Schools Board Meeting this August 8th, 2016. Roll call.
Mr. Alexander.
Present.
Mr. Bravo. Present. Ms. Mansfield.
Here.
Mr. Miller. Here. Reverend Walker.
Present.
Ms. Walsh.
Here.
Okay, now we will have our Pledge of Allegiance by the cadets from Garfield High School, Junior ROTC.
Colors. Halt. Order. Colors. Ready. Cut.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Port. Arms. Post the colors. Forward. March. Colors. Halt. Post the colors. Ready. Cut. Pose. March.
And just so you know, this finally happened. A couple months ago, Mark Williamson sent out a email about the Cerebral Palsy Kids Festival at the Akron Children's Hospital. We went and did that, 12 cadets. This is the response back. Dear First Class, on behalf of the Pediatric Physical Medicine and Rehabilitation Division at Akron Children's Hospital, I'd like to express my appreciation for your generosity and support of the Neurodevelopmental Science Center's annual Cerebral Palsy Picnic. Please accept our sincere, heartfelt thanks. Your Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps cadets are truly amazing young adults. They worked tirelessly for hours to ensure the children had a fabulous time. They were so polite and respectful. They performed all the duties I requested and did not hear one complaint. Many times throughout the day, I was brought to tears to see their dedication and teamwork. They have problem-solving and critical thinking skills that are far beyond the average teenager. I have hope for our future, knowing that there are still youth with whom have hearts of service and dedication like these youth. We have some truly astonishing leaders emerging from the program, and I know they will go far. The 10th Annual Cerebral Palsy Picnic was a huge success, in no small part due to your support and assistance. We hope you will consider supporting us again at your 11th Annual CP Picnic. I would always welcome these young men and women back with open arms. The singing of our national anthem, flag presentation, and their precise and well-practiced drill rifle show what was an honor to observe. They are extremely talented and disciplined. Thank you for allowing us the opportunity to work alongside these young men and women. Greatly appreciate it. They worked from about 8:30 we got there?
Yeah.
8:30 to 3:30. They, in that uniform right there with the t-shirt, they put on their uniforms and they did a drill exhibition and the colors. And right after that, they helped with the all the games and everything. They worked extremely hard. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Right. As you will. Left, face. Forward, arms. Forward, arms.
That is what it's all about, teaching our kids to get out in the community, to give back, to show what they have learned, and to be able to grow as they continue to move forward in life, because that's our job as those individuals who are here to work with the kids in Akron Public Schools. So I'd like to thank them for going out in the community and doing the work that they did, and to give to those less fortunate and have issues or problems at this time. Next, we have community and school reflections. Anyone? Ms. Mansfield?
You know, first of all, I just want to mention, I think that sometimes we take for granted when our junior ROTC comes in, it's summertime. Not only are those kids giving up their time, but so is Mr. Branco. So I just wanted to thank them again for coming out, because they come all summer for us, and I think they do an amazing job. Being a military family, I appreciate it every time they come, so thank them again. I did get to attend, along with the superintendent, Ms. Walsh, and Mr. Miller, the Love Akron breakfast this past couple of weeks, and they moved it up specifically. Last year it was held in late August, and we were already back in school, which was not a bad thing. But this year they were hoping to get a few more educators there. They were asking about our volunteer opportunities. We got to talk up our mentoring program with Mr. Greer and talk about that. And the Love Akron group, along with us, did say prayers for our district and for our educators and for our staff. And it was a lovely event. It always is. Mr. Ford always does, Pastor Ford always does a fantastic job with that. So I wanted to give them some acknowledgement. And also, last week, I'm sure lots of us were all over town. It was the Night Out Against Crime. And I was fortunate enough to be in Goodyear Heights and spend some time over there with those folks. And it was a fantastic turnout, as we had perfect weather. It was a little hot, but it was a good night, and it was great to see so many people come out and support our community, to get to know their neighbors. Sometimes it's easy anymore. You know, you can just turn on Netflix, or you can stay on your back deck and never see your neighbors. So it's nice to get out and actually see who lives next door and down the street. So a shout out to the city for that event, because they did a fantastic job. It's actually the county, isn't it? Is it the city too? Okay. It was well done, especially in the venues around town.
Anyone else?
You know, those were the things I did, and I had every intention of getting to Ellet's National Night Out, but it was still an election day, and I never got out of the office. So I had planned, but we were still getting ballots back, and I never got away enough. We're hoping it was a fast enough election that I could get to the end of it, but it was just slow getting back.
Great. Anyone else? I do want to say something. We have 2 Sundays ago, we lost a leader in the Summit County area, and in being that Russ Pry. Russ was an outstanding leader, was an outstanding citizen, outstanding person in general, and someone who cared about everyone, someone you could pick up the phone at any time and talk to, willing to help, and wanted to see Summit County continue to grow. That's very sad. I mean, there's some big shoes to fill there in Russ, because Russ was just an outstanding person. And there are I'm sure some goals and some plans that he had that he would like to, that he was going to pursue for Summit County, to ensure that Summit County not only just remains where it's at, but to move forward and to move upward. And so I hope that it's all of us in Summit County, our hope and our prayers that we will continue to move forward in those endeavors that Russ looked ahead for this county. So in honoring Russ, I'd like to, for us to have just a moment of silence, bow our heads in a moment of silence, please. Thank you. I know there's been a lot going on these past couple weeks, and of course with this situation with Russ Pride, that there's still a lot that's going on. So all those, I wanted to say for all those who work for the Summit County and who work for Russ, to keep their heads up, look upward and onward, look to the Supreme Architect of the universe to get our strength and power, and to be able to move forward from there. So in saying that, I don't have anything else that I would like to give as far as community reflection. We have no one to request the board, but we do have a communications recognition, and that is a presentation from the Transportation Department, which is run by William Andexler, and he has a transportation meets technology piece for us. Mr. Andexler.
Hello, everyone. Started here in Akron last year, April 6th was my first day. Walked into an apartment that is a good department, but in my opinion, it was lacking on some technology. So over the course of the year, we've been implementing things with the help of just about everybody in this room, not just one person. So tonight I was asked to give a snapshot of what we've done down in the transportation department. This is nowhere near the entire of everything that we've done, but because of time, we're going to keep it 10 minutes or so, and time for questions if you want me to go into deeper on things. Okay, transportation meets technology, and as we go on this, you'll understand what we mean by that. And district focus, we fall mostly right under here, the learning conditions is where we fall under. We're a support service, as everybody knows. We ensure the safety of the students, you know, we also do association skills with other students, parent convenience, great opportunity for learning, academics, field trips, and athletics. We're the ones that get them there and get them home safely. First thing when I got in was the routing upgrades. We have a transportation software program called TransFinder. I didn't feel that we were utilizing it completely, so we started investing money into it and buying different modules. One of the modules that we bought was InfoFinder LE, and if we have any building principals here, secretaries and building principals can access our routes. They can help answer any questions that parents have about the routing, so they're not being jumped all over the district. They can go right to one place and do that. I'll talk about this later on. Here comes the bus. This also goes with our GPS tracking system, so when I get to the end there, I'll bring that up. And then we're going to do future website updates, external. We've done internal for the intranet. Now we're going to go outside and help and upgrade our website for the parents. Capital improvements. I was telling Mr. James here that you have to spend money sometimes to save money. Mr. Pendleton may not agree with that at times, but right now, currently, we're on a 21-year rotation for school buses. That's pretty much unheard of in the state. Average is about 12 years. Okay, our goal is to get it down to 15-year rotation. So I've worked with the treasurer's office. We've come up with a plan, and hopefully we can fulfill that in 3 to 4 years. This is some of our new buses we bought this year. We bought 7 new buses. One thing you're going to start seeing this year, or on our buses, that they're going to be white ceilings, roofs. It cuts the temperature down anywhere from 12 to 15 degrees on the inside of the buses without air conditioning. The picture doesn't do it justice, but these are core sealed step wells, and these were by the entrance doors. This is anti-slip. We've had a lot of children in our district and other districts. They tend, when the steps get wet, they tend to slide out the bus, including drivers. But there's a little, you cannot see it, but there's a little pebble, right up the pebble on the treads, and that really does keep them from slipping. Again, the picture right there, we've installed cameras on all the buses, and this year we've got them all the same format. Up until about a month ago, we had like 3 or 4 different formats. So when building principals request video, who knows what they were going to get out of it. And also some of the older versions they weren't working either. The cameras weren't working. So all the cameras are the same, all the same format. Fortunately, with Google Drive, and this is where the technology department helps us out with this, there's a certain way that I save the video, and then I put it up on the Google Drive. The building principal will be able to download it to their desktop, and then of course about a week I'll remove it from the Google Drive, but they'll have it. This will save about 15 hours a week for my mechanic foreman, who used to go out and get the hard drives, make a copy, run it to the buildings, things like that. So we can put it up on the Google Drive for them pretty quickly. We installed our 4th lift. We have 4 of them now. Thank you. 4 of them. With this lift, and with all of our lifts, and I'm going to jump ahead of just a little bit to the next slide, but with this lift, we're able to do some training with our bus drivers, and I'll explain that on the next slide. And then when I first came here, this was the first thing that we did, was put the fuel dispensers in. You would go and activate the pump, and sometimes you would get fuel, sometimes you wouldn't get fuel. Now we have a lot of buses that fill up here. We've got 70-some, 80 buses that go out every day, but we also have all the support staff too that come and fill up the cars for the unleaded. One thing we really made leaps and bounds on was the training. Yes, the drivers have their regular state training. They have to go through certain hours of classroom. They have to go through certain hours of on-board instructing. But we took it to the next level. When I started here, we had 1 OBI. That's an onboard instructor who actually trains the bus drivers and certifies the van drivers. They used to have, Akron had 2, but 1 retired right before I started. So now we have 4. So that was a process that we started getting, so we have 4 OBIs. All these programs are all new. Bullying prevention, transporting students with special needs, and then we're just increasing the bus driving training. This is a brand new program right here, and we are the first school that has this. This is to help new applicants get their written permit for a CDL. Before, we used to just send them out and say, go get the book and come and see us in about 2 weeks, 3 weeks after you've flunked it 3 or 4 times, the written test. And a lot of times they get discouraged and they don't come back. So now we have a program that we can help them. They can get their written program or written permits, temporary permit. Technology, okay. ASOP, that's our reporting software for absences. We implement that district-wide this year, and our support staff down the transportation took on. AppleTrack is online applications. We just implemented that about 2 weeks or 2 months ago, less than 2 months ago. Bus conduct, time clocks, very popular one that's going to be coming up, and Trip Tracker and Synovia GPS tracking. ASOP is our S2Js. Excuse me. And drivers would fill out the form, turn it in, it would get to me, I would sign off on it, we have to send it down to HR. It's just a paper trail that tends to get lost. Now we have ASOP, which works with Munis, which works with our HR department, which works with Munis. And Munis is our financial software that we have in the district. A lot of things that we've implemented in transportation works with Munis. Okay. Apple Track, like I said, that's an online application, which is working great. Before, they fill out the paper, it would get lost someplace, they would be calling back, what happened to my application? I don't have it. I'm not sure where it ended up, but now it's online, and it's all kept nice and order in there, nice and neat. Bus conduct. This is something that actually Akron had before I got here. I've used this before. And it is pretty involved to get it up and running, and we're going to have it this year, this school year, we're going to have it up and running. This is an old bus conduct, paper base. Somehow the building principal would get that bus conduct. It could be multiple ways. The driver could hand it to them, it could be faxed to them, multiple different ways that the building principal would get it. Sometimes it would be 2-3 days after the incident on the bus. If we put it in the pony, that took a day to get there. So now it's going to be filled out online. The incident report's online. As soon as the driver fills it out online, it sends me an email to log into the site because the driver has filled out an incident report. Once I look it over to make sure it's not a driver issue, because sometimes I can stop it right there. Maybe it's a driver issue and not a student issue. So I can stop it right there. But once it goes past me, building principal will get an email, say log into the site, and they can take care of it. Once they take care of it, and they hit submit, I believe, we're done. It sends myself and it sends the person who created the bus conduct, it sends them an email on what the principal did to correct the problem. I've had cases where in my other district, high school, we did high school, middle school, and the driver would fill it out in between runs, approximately 7:30, 7:40. Then they would go out and do their elementary run, and the building principal already took care of it, and they already had the response back before they were done with their elementary runs. So it can work that quickly. Time clocks. This is going to be very popular down in transportation. This is the old way, paper base. Every one of these is a sign-in sheet for different drivers. So we have up to 90 people signing in these sheets right here every morning. There could be error. They look at the clock. Sometimes they say it's 8:40. They may put 8:30. They might cut themselves, cheat themselves out of some time, or they might put 9 o'clock. They might gain some time. So we're eliminating any error that could be, and these are kiosks that we have them installed. So this is something new that will be starting this fall on this. There's been some bumps in the road, but we'll get through it, and these will all be up and running for school start. Again, these time clocks is through Veritime, which works with ASOP, which works with Munis. So it all works together. Field trip tracker. Again, paper form started out at the buildings. Principal or the teacher would fill it out. It would go to the building principal. Building principal would okay it. It would go down to secondary, or go down the odd building, secondary or elementary ed, would approve it. Then it would come to me for our department to hand it out. Again, we're going to have key people in each building. It's going to be more like the secretaries right now and the building principal. They'll fill it out. It sends an email to us that somebody's filled something out. We can okay it right there, so okay bus or van or whatever, and then once we okay it, it'll go to the building principal via email notification. Building principal will okay it. It'll go down to secondary, or go down the odd building, secondary, elementary ed. They'll okay it, and as soon as they okay it, then it'll come to us. And all this can happen within, several minutes, instead of the paper trail where we put it in the pony and it takes a couple days to get it everywhere. So, and again, this works with Munis. It's a long story, but what happens is once I approve it as a bus or a van, it puts a hold, the money puts a hold on their account in Munis. And as soon as it's done, then it takes the transfer of the money out of their account in Munis and puts it in another account, which, I'm not sure how Ryan and Todd Atkins have that set up. So, anxious to get this up and running. This is the big one, Synovia GPS tracking system. This is only 4 items out of probably 20 that this system does for us. And because of time, I could go on for an hour talking about Synovia and what it's doing for us. But one thing it is, I know where all the location, I know the location of all the buses all the time. Okay, this is not our district, but it looks just like this. I mean, I could call it up right now live and I can show you the 2 buses that are out on a trip right now. Okay, right there. We know where they're at all times. And again, there's hundreds of reports that I can use for different things. We know speed, we know location, we know if they're stopping at the stop to schedule time correctly. We know all these things through here. The reason why we went with Synovia is because we have TransFinder as our routing software. And right there, these 2 softwares communicate to each other. So in red is the scheduled route that we have in TransFinder. The bus actually drove the blue. That's the GPS tracking. If the driver would come back and say, listen, this is not safe to drive right here, this is a much better route. Before, the drivers would scribble on a piece of paper the routes and you couldn't read their directions. Now we can just go back to whatever day they said. They said, hey, last Tuesday at the afternoon, we liked how that route went. And all my routers, all they have to do is go back to last Tuesday at that time and just take the red and move it to the blue. And it's going to save a lot of time on that. Okay, I told you earlier that I was going to come back to Here Comes the Bus. This is a free software for the parents, okay? I whited out the name. We did a test over the summer. The parent will be able to log into Here Comes the Bus to their own site. They create their own account. And this is their designated stop for that child right there in red. That's the current location of the bus. And this is one of our kids. So they can see where that bus is. They can expand this arc as far as they want or as little as they want. They can expand it. So when that bus enters the arc, it sends them on their smartphone, it can send them a page or a text, or it sends them an email, or both. Okay? And the bus is not there at the stop yet. The bus is scheduled to be there at 7:45. Right, that stop right there. It's supposed to be 7:45. And that's the email that they could receive too. Now, the bus has made the stop. We don't know if they picked up the child or not, but the bus did stop at that stop. Currently, that's the location of the bus. The bus was there at 7:43, and their scheduled time is 7:45, is when the bus picked up the child. Or, excuse me, made the stop at their designated stop. There are things, possibly in a year or so, that we will be able to tell if that child got on the bus. There's scanning devices and things like that. We're not ready to implement that just yet, but that could be in the future here. Now, this is the main reason that we looked into this. All the buses have a panic button now. So what happened last spring, or late winter, we had a bus that was in an accident, had students on board. We had a general idea of where that bus was, but we had no clue exactly where that bus was. And it took us over 15 minutes to figure out where that bus was. Even without the panic button, now I know where every bus is every time, every minute. So if for some reason a driver gets on and says, I had an accident, and they forget to hit the panic button, I can just go to my phone, look it up, or we go to the computer, and we know exactly where that bus is. Or they can hit the panic button. And it sends, right now we have 5 to 6 people in the district that will receive this text. And we did a test a couple days ago, and that was the location of where that bus did that panic button at. And we can call it up right on our phone, right there it is. When we're calling the police, and we can give them the exact address, because when anybody that's in an accident, you're shook up, and you may not know where you're at. You know kind of where you're at. I'm on Talmadge Road by Wendy's. Okay, that could be, exactly where you're at. It's a little difficult. And especially if you're on a back road, or what I call back road, it's not on a main road. Drivers have a tendency to, like anybody would, not really know exactly where you're at. This will tell us exactly where they're at. And just acknowledgments to everybody had some part of this, this snapshot of these upgrades that we did in transportation, all the way through, everybody. Because the board yourself, you voted on a few things just recently, with the GPS and everything. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Is this only for the buses and vans at this point, or does this include other vehicles like service and maintenance and just any of the rest of the fleet?
Okay, right now, Synovia, the GPS tracking is only our yellow school buses, Akron's yellow school buses. It does not include Peterman buses, and it does not include the contracted van drivers. Okay, now there are some talk, once we get through this testing period and everything, there has been some talk about putting it on all of our support vehicles in the district.
Okay. And then on the here comes the bus, do the parents verify account information in order to sign up?
Yes, it's their student ID and date of birth.
Okay.
On that. Yes, sir.
21 years is what the changeover, and you want to drop that down to 15. I guess, what was the benchmark? Why was it 21 years? Just because of finance, we decided that we could keep a bus
Well,
21 plus years.
21 years is what I did was I took our current fleet, figured out the age of it, and that's what we came up with, those 21 years, okay? Which I want to say, you got to compliment the guys down there in the shop. They're doing a very good job of keeping the buses on the road, okay? 21 years is really unheard of. You've gone through so many different safety upgrades throughout the years, okay? Now, I understand a bus now runs anywhere from $93,000 to $98,000. So we can't just snap our fingers and let's just get them. Plus, you don't want to buy 40 buses at one time, because in 15 years, you got 40 buses you got to replace. So you want to try to, what we did was I worked with Mr. Pendleton, and we kind of broke it down. It's like, okay, what can we do like this year, next year, third year, and see where we're at. We did like a 5-year forecast. And that's our goal, is to get it down to 15 or lower. And that's, once we get down to 15 years, then we can start adding to our fleet. Right now, we can't add to our fleet because it's so old. We have to get them off the road as quick as we can.
And what's the standard now as it relates to seatbelts?
Right now, seatbelts are not in the state of Ohio. Okay, other states are passing it. My personal opinion is, and which follows through many people in the state of Ohio, is seatbelts will not help you. Seatbelts will hurt you more than they will help you. First of all, it's going to be very hard to get 50 kids to to wearing the seatbelts properly, okay? The other thing is, if you look at the statistics, and I can get you the statistics too, when you're in a bus accident, you're safer in the bus because the bus is considered like a compartmentalization, the seats are. It's almost like an egg carton. And actually the children are safer in the buses because of the higher seat backs, the bigger or more padding and everything over what they've done over the years to make it safer. Many of you, some of you rode buses years ago, you might remember the fiberglass seats, you know, that I remember. I mean, those were not safe at all. I mean, if you were in an accident, you were hurt. But now they have such thick padding on the buses, and the seats are higher. Okay. And we could show you the videos and things like that where definitely no lap belts. You definitely don't want lap belts. It has to be the 6-point harness if you could.
I can echo that from having been a car safety instructor. Buses are safer. They don't need the belts. It's hard to imagine when you're doing it all, but when you see all the videos and see the things, it really is.
And what it is, the buses are also made to come off. They're made to absorb the accident, the impact. If you ever see the videos, the frame will stop, but the body will keep going. And it'll slide right off, it'll slide right off the frame, and that's what it's made to do. Because you don't want to stop like dead, right, stop dead. You want to keep moving and that absorbs it. Yes.
Curious, you're talking about, you know, in the future, maybe putting them on our support vehicles. The definition of that, would that be a Peterman bus that has our children in it?
No,
No.
That's our, like maintenance vehicles,
Okay.
our police cars.
So right now, if a Peterman bus gets in an accident with Akron Public School children, how is that reported to us?
How is it reported to us?
Yeah. I mean, how do we know that occurred?
Good question. A lot of times we don't know. Now, Akron, or Peterman is not transporting Akron Public School children.
Okay,
They're doing community schools and charter schools, you know, things like that, and private schools. But I understand your point, and that's something we need to address with Peterman to notify us exactly all the, you know, the accidents and things.
I can answer your other question now. This next year will be a new year for an RFP to get contracted services, Mr. Miller, so therefore the idea would be if we have success with these kind of programs, we can put it in the RFP. So as an example, when we started adding security cameras to our buses, we then put it in the RFP and the vendor had to meet that requirement. So if we find that this particular GPS program is good for us, and we do that and put it in the RFP, then the vendor has to meet the RFP requirements.
I guess I didn't realize that none of our students rode anything other than Akron Public School
No, that is
buses.
correct. That is the reason they came in. And the only time that Akron Public School students have ever ridden a non-APS bus is when we took the students from East High School and transported them over to the Central Howard building when we were doing the swing space. That is correct.
Thank you.
Now, I know like Peterman does have Zonar. That's another tracking device for their buses.
I guess I'm curious, you didn't spend very little time on it, but the bullying training. I guess at some point in time, I'd be interested in hearing a little bit more about that. I guess not at this point in time, but
Okay.
I know from riding school buses when I was a kid, a lot of bullying, you know, happens before the kids even get in school buildings. But
Right, and I've had success with this company, it's School Bus Safety Company. The gentleman who created this program, he came from Laidlaw, and he was the safety coordinator for the United States, and then he broke off and he went on his own. So he's created all these for Laidlaw, Peterman, whatever, he created their safety program. So he broke off on his own, and he's creating these things. Transporting special needs, I had a small part in it, okay, help developing it. But every one of these, our drivers, our over drivers and our bus assistants over the summer, they went through this.
So it's mandatory, it's not optional for the drivers?
It's going to be mandatory for everybody to go through it. We're setting up training for the whole year. All these programs, except for this one here, for the CDL. If I could go back on the training, which I did forget to put on here, is we started something new this year. Our bus mechanics will actually take our new applicants, and they're going to take our veteran drivers too, and they're going to put them together in a room or by a lift, and they're going to go over and show them exactly if this happens, this is what could happen. So we started this, and we've already got other districts already interested in seeing our paperwork on that, and that's just something we just started this year. We haven't put very many people through that yet, but we have several days of in-service days over the school year, and eventually all veteran drivers are going to go through that. The one thing with the inspection, with the buses, I'll just highlight on this, and we were talking about the years. I'm proud to say that we had our bus inspection this year, and after they were all done, all of our buses have stickers, current stickers on them, okay? We did do something new this year. We actually hired a crew of bus drivers, 4 bus drivers, and then we had like a sub-bus driver in there when one of them couldn't make it. And we did a detailed cleaning of the insides of the buses, which some people may have thought that they never were that detailed, because we flipped seats and everything, opened up seats and opened everything out. They scraped the gum off, they did everything to that bus. So Deborah Falk has seen them, and has seen a couple buses, I showed her, and our bus inspectors were just, they loved it. They said that was the best they've ever seen the buses in Akron presented, which is required, and fortunately they'll keep them off of Mr. James's doorstep. Anything else? Again, I want to thank everybody, and I hope I'm not missing anybody on this list, but this acknowledgement list is truly everybody working together. The business department, treasurer's department, Mr. James, board, HR, everybody's working together, because there's no way that I could even begin to get this completed without everybody's help on it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Annexler. I know you've worked hard and been in a couple meetings with you as well, and so appreciate everything that you're doing to help make our kids safe and secure, as well as the drivers that we have as well. Thank you. Okay, next I need approval of meeting minutes. So moved. Been moved.
Second.
Move the second. Any questions? Roll call.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes.
Mrs. Bravo. Yes. Mrs. Mansfield.
Yes.
Mr. Miller.
Yes.
Trevor Walker.
I think I did something wrong. I moved for the minutes and I wasn't here.
You can move.
I can do that.
You can
Okay.
stop. Do you want to abstain now?
Yes.
Ms. Walsh.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Superintendent's recommendation.
Mr. President, I have before me for your consideration 44 personnel recommendations and 2 additional items on the supplement. These recommendations are in proper form, and I move their approval. And before we go with the motion, I would like Kathy McVeigh to introduce those being recommended for new positions.
Good evening. First up tonight, I'd like to introduce to you Tara Bruce, if you could please stand. If Tara looks familiar to you, it's because she was just here about 6 weeks ago when she was recommended for an assistant principal position at the elementary level. And due to some recent changes in our administrative staffing, tonight we are recommending her for a bump up to a principal position to be located at Crufts. Congratulations.
For this more than awesome opportunity, I would like to thank Superintendent Mr. James and Assistant Superintendent, who's not here, McWilliams Woods, Executive Director Mary Otley Kelly, and the school board. Thank you for my 2 years of wonderful experience I already have. I stand before you humbled and honored, and I am very excited to service the students and the staff at Cross Elementary School. Thank you very much.
Aisha Collier. I don't see Aisha. Aisha is not here, but she is a graduate of John Kennedy High School in Cleveland, obtained her bachelor's degree from the Akron University, and then a master's of arts in education in 2010. She's been with us since then when she started her student teaching and was hired by us following that as a substitute teacher, and then taught at David Hill and Harris Elementaries. For the last 2 years, she's been an instructional coach at Case and Firestone, and tonight we are recommending her to be a Dean of Students assigned to Cyber CLC. Carolyn Herstich. You have to talk to some people. Carolyn is a graduate of Riverside High School in Painesville. She also attended the University of Akron, where she received her bachelor's degree in special education, and then her Master's of Science degree from the University of Akron in 2011. She began teaching for us as a student teacher at Leggett and Higher Middle School, and then was hired as a teacher with Akron as a special education teacher, where she taught at East High School. And then in 2014, she assumed the position of administrative intern at East, and tonight is recommended for a Dean of Students position at Higher CLC. Renee Coaches. Thank you for being here. Renee is a graduate of Archbishop Hoban High School. She obtained her Bachelor of Science degree in Education from the University of Akron in 2005, and in 2009 received a master's degree from Kent State University. She comes to Akron with 6 years of elementary teaching experience and 3 years as a building literacy coordinator with Summit Academy. She has assisted with the observation and evaluation of teachers and also mentored new teachers as part of their resident educator program. She also served as a lead for the language arts team. Tonight, she's being recommended for a dean position at the elementary level at Mason and Bettis CLCs. Congratulations.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm very excited.
Thank you. Sarah Ranko. Ms. Ranko is a graduate of Worcester High School. She obtained her Bachelor of Arts degree in Early Childhood Education from Wittenberg University in 2006. She comes to Akron with 10 years of elementary teaching experience from Brooklyn, New York, Charlotte, North Carolina, Columbus, Ohio, and Cleveland, Ohio. Most recently at Middlebury Prep Academy in Akron. In 2010-11, she was awarded the Teacher of the Year award. She's also served in a role as principal and later as a senior director. Tonight, we are recommending her for a dean position to be assigned to Leggett and Romer CLCs. Congratulations.
I appreciate the opportunity to come into Akron Public Schools, and I'm really excited to hit the ground running this year. So thank you very much for it.
Thank you. Okay. So now we need a
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any question? Roll call.
Mr. Bravo. Yes. Mrs. Mansfield.
Yes, abstaining from item 42.
41. Mr. Miller.
Yes, abstaining from item number 43.
Trevor Walker.
Yes.
Ms. Walsh.
Yes, abstaining from number 44.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes, abstaining from items 39 and 40.
Thank you.
Next, Mr. President, I have before me for your consideration 2 motions and 9 resolutions on the consent agenda and 1 resolution on the board letter supplement. These recommendations are in proper form, and I move their approval.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any question? No question? Roll call.
Mrs. Mansfield.
Yes.
Mr. Miller.
Yes.
Trevor Walker.
Yes.
Ms. Walsh.
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes.
Mr. Bravo.
Yes.
And finally, Mr. President, I have before me for your consideration 24 business affairs recommendations. These recommendations are in proper form, and I move their approval.
So moved.
Second. Been moved and seconded. Question? Mr. Miller?
Just on item number 4, I was just curious, I asked earlier today about, or over the weekend about this anyways, and from what I saw online, very excited to what this career cruising is. Thought it was very interesting what I saw online, and I'm just curious exactly how it's going to be implemented within grades 6 through 12. I'm assuming this is for the, I thought this was for the middle school kids though, or but it's for all?
It's for grades K through 12. We're going to start implementing it in 6 through 12. The state mandated that we have a success plan for those students that we identify at risk for grades 6 through 12 students. So we're going to start with that, hoping to expand it to K through 12 later. So this year we'll start with, they're giving us a free elementary school test out, so we can try it this year too. But it is comprehensive career planning software that's going to help us be much more systematic in helping our students explore and plan what they like to do with interest inventories, what they're able to do with academic tests and other skills tests. Put it all together, there's 1,300 video interviews, there's opportunities for field trips, there's opportunities to help us track it all and make sure that the counselors touch the different students and the students fill out portfolios and that they're college and career ready by the time they graduate. It is exciting.
Are the kids at North going to be using that in their Academy's boot camp this month then, or?
They'll be using it. I have to work with Rachel. I'm not sure exactly.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you, Mark.
Great, thank you. Any other questions? No more questions? Roll call.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Reverend Walker?
Yes.
Ms. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Mr. Bravo?
Yes.
Mrs. Mansfield?
Yes.
Superintendent's report?
Yes, Mr. President. Last week I had the opportunity to travel to Chicago with representatives from the city of Akron to have an audience with some of the bonding companies. I think the city's on track to be able to sell bonds for the last phase of our project, so those meetings went really well. Also, tomorrow I'll be traveling to Oxford, Ohio. Bass Buckeye Association of School Administrators is installing a new president, and I'll be going on board as president-elect. So next summer, I'll be installed as president. We'll have a ceremony here for that event.
Great.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations. All right, we did that. I put the schools out there. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay. President's report is short. I mentioned our executive, Russ Pry, already. Again, keep everybody in prayer. Parents, speaking to parents, at school will be shortly arriving, and so I hope that all the parents out there are starting to get their kids together, and if they have not already, which I assume and hope that they have, gotten them to start reading and preparing for school for this upcoming year, as well as hopefully getting them to participate in the Summit for Kids, which is coming also this month, I believe. If anyone, if I'm incorrect, correct me, the third Saturday, I believe, of this month. Okay, so the third Saturday this month will be the Summit for Kids, and it's always good, and of course we will be there. Akron Public Schools as always, and it's always a good time for the kids and family as well. And so that, and then one other thing I wanted to mention is I traveled to Columbus on July the 26th for the Urban School District Networking Advisory Committee, which I was part of, and they had some good discussion on a number of things. They talked about the Capital Conference, which we know comes up every year, and this advisory committee is going to have a question and answer period for anyone who wants to know about what the advisory committee is, and any of us who would like to participate or want to be part of the advisory committee, you're welcome to be part of the advisory committee as well, not just myself, but any of you here if you would like to be part. It is exciting. It's with a lot of school board members across the state of Ohio, a lot of good information. There were some legislative updates that were given by Jennifer Hogue, who was the person who deals with legislation, and she gave us some updates, and one of the things that she really kind of just spoke about was what's happening now with the ESSA, which they're putting things in perspective, but they still don't have everything together because it's supposed to be the school districts have a little bit more flexibility and making decisions for their schools, but the government hasn't really worked all that out as they probably should have, so we'll still have to wait a little longer for that. And then they did talk about, which I'm sure we'll hear more about, last month, and I didn't get a chance to go, or any of us didn't go to CUBE's conference, summer issues seminar, and it was canceled because it was in Carolina. And you know, with Carolina, there's a lot going on with transgender students, and so there was some talk about that and how it could possibly affect Ohio down the road, and with some of these, if when we start getting more and further into that. So there was a lot of good information there. There was something on workplace violence, which was good, but I think it could have been more dealing with, because they gave more of a scenario and some information from a study from Pennsylvania versus, I think, maybe real more information about classrooms and hostile environments and things like that, and how to prevent and help situations that could become violent in the workplace. So they did talk a little bit about that, but it was good. It was it's always interesting because there's always school districts in the state of Ohio. And one of the things that came up, and I mentioned Akron Public Schools because they talked about a lot about the community schools as well. And Cincinnati City Schools, of course, is really big in that. And I know we've gone down to Cincinnati schools and looked at some things as well. And so I did mention that Akron has been involved a lot with Cincinnati, and we have a lot with community schools, CLCs. And they were surprising that some school districts across the state of Ohio had no idea what was going on and what CLCs were. So we're in the front with Cincinnati schools. So we may get a call to have someone from our school district be part of maybe a panel that they'll have with Cincinnati and talking about this to other school districts across the state of Ohio. So that was really interesting, and it's always interesting to go and listen to what's going on and see when we're doing well, the things that we're doing well, and if we're not, there was things where we could improve, which is always good, because we constantly want to improve as we move along. But to rest assured that we are doing a lot of good things, and we're in the forefront of a lot of things that are going on, not just in the state of Ohio, but across the country. So we want to continue to move forward on that. That is the President's report. Treasurer's report.
No report tonight.
Committee reports. Legal.
No report.
Okay, no report. Finance.
No report.
No report. Instructional.
I'll take the second.
Okay, I'll just talk about the first part. Barb did a really great job of already talking about item 4 on the business fair recommendations. We did discuss that a little bit in our committee. She had much more detail actually than we have in front of us, but we've been assured that students will begin using across the district the career cruising by winter. There were several of the tools that were looked at. And I'm impressed that Mr. Miller got a chance to look at it. We looked at it more last month.
Right, I was able at a different meeting though.
So we had
But it looks
had a
fabulous.
preview, and it looks fantastic. Yeah, we were really excited about it. So that's what item 4 was really about. So I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of difference we see across the district with that.
And then number 2, Dr. McWilliams Woods provided an update on our preliminary report card data. The Ohio Department of Education will release the final report cards in September. Scores across the state have dropped significantly because the state raised the cut scores for proficiency. Dr. McWilliams Woods will provide a presentation to the board early in September when the data is finalized. And we'll have more to say about that, and as well as share some other information that will give you a better picture as to how our students are improving, and hopefully show graphs and bar presentation on a national trying to think of the word, testing that's used to nationally look at things that has been pretty standard over time, over several years, versus our up and down evaluation as it relates to the state.
Okay. Thank you both. Any unfinished business? No unfinished business. New business?
Mr. President, I wanted to take this opportunity to just review some changes in our administrative reporting structure since Paul Flesher retired. You'll see for Deborah Folk under Executive Director of Business Affairs will now have Mr. Boxler, Director of Facility Services, report to her. And then, of course, the facility project managers and facility planning, Mr. Rain and Mr. Herr will report to Mr. Boxler. The custodial maintenance and facility service already report to Mr. Boxler, along with energy management. We'll also have to replace Mr. Boxler's position, environmental health and safety. This is a draft, by the way, but I'm looking at whether that'll be a contracted service or an actual employee. So those are some things that I have to review in staff. But this, again, is draft. It captures, for the most part, our administrative staff, and then the ones that are in, are colored, I'll talk about in executive session.
Thank you.
Once our school year starts, we'll have an updated version. It'll also be posted on our website.
Great. Okay. Any questions? I guess we'll wait for those executive session. Okay, next we will have executive session, and I will need a motion in pursuant to Ohio Revised Code section 121.22G1 and 121.22G3 to go into executive session and talk about appointments as well as legal counsel.
Second.
Let's move in second. Roll call.
Reverend Walker?
Yes.
Ms. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Mr. Bravo?
Yes.
Mrs. Mansfield?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.